Hi, everybody. Hey, I am here with a friend. Her name is Beth Basham. Is it Basham or Basham?
Basham.
It's Basham. That's what I thought. Okay, Beth Basham. And kind of a funny background. Beth is a dietitian, right? Nutritionist. She knows a lot about food and your body and what's really good for you. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But I didn't really know that there were many other high level leaders in doTERRA in Cheyenne. So one day I was at Starbucks and I saw this beautiful woman sitting at a table talking doTERRA to somebody else. And I just went up and I introduced myself and that I was a diamond leader in Cheyenne. And she said, "Oh, I'm a gold leader." And so ever since then, Beth and I have just kind of, had this little, we kind of love each other back and forth, even though we're not on the same team, which is great, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. We in doTERRA, we just kind of, we're all just one big happy family. So this is great. Beth, thank you so much for doing this for us today. I am doing this week of, how to boost your immunity. And today we're talking about nutrition. So what is it exactly that you do? Or just give us a little bit of background maybe on how you got into what you're doing now.
Sure. Yeah. So, I'll keep it short because I could go on and on, but I've been a dietitian for going on 15 years now. And I have a master's degree in functional medicine. I'm very interested in natural health and finding the root cause. When we look at the body, a lot of what doTERRA and the essential oils promote as the health paradigm is stuff I've believed in for a very long time. So I started my journey, went to college, declared my major in nutrition as a sophomore in college and have been on this journey ever since then. And of course, my journey has weaved different places. I've worked in different areas, but I currently own a private practice and I help women primarily with mindful and intuitive eating, as I find that that's one of the things that I'm drawn to that I love very deeply because I think it sets a foundation for building health and wellness from the ground up. So feel free to ask me any questions around that. But again, trying to use some brevity here because I know we have a lot.
That's right,
Today.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that word mindful and intuitive eating. And of course, that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about and really get in depth about that because I think a lot of people don't really know what that means. But just going back a little bit in your history too, has there been struggles for you, maybe weight issues, health issues, things like that, that this has helped you with personally?
Oh, definitely. So I declared my major in nutrition and dietetics as I was experiencing disordered eating. So just like many young women, I was exposed to certain body ideals. You can't see it here on Zoom, but I'm 6 foot tall, and I grew up a dancer, so I always had a little bit of body dysmorphia. I wanted to stay thin, and I thought that declaring a major in nutrition was the way. So I learned a lot about nutrition and, really underlying it, I did it for the purpose of controlling my body, right? I wanted to look a certain way. And that conventional training started to butt its head up against me in my mid-20s. I started to really push against my body, and my body actually the shape and size of my body started to change. And not that it shouldn't, because all women's bodies changed, but I wanted to resist against that. And what happened was I started eating fewer calories. I started exercising excessively, and I actually got on the scale and the number went up and up and up. Now I know it's due to inflammation. There's other things I know now that I didn't know then, but really what I was doing was working against my body. I wasn't in a good relationship with food and body. And what helped me was learning about intuitive eating and building more mindfulness tools. I'm a yoga instructor in addition to all the other things I do. And realizing that our body has this innate wisdom that we were born with, right? All of us were born. And I see this in my 3-year-old daughter today. She knows how to self-regulate. And by using the practice of mindful and intuitive eating, which again, I can expand on a bit, I began to heal my body. I actually started eating more, exercising less, and my body went back to the shape and size it was naturally meant to be. You know, I don't believe that we are supposed to fit into a certain size or shape, right? I hate BMI models, and, you know, the scale is just so detrimental to our mental well-being. So I just like to speak to the healthiest weight that every woman is going to be at, which is different for every person. But
And I'm so glad that you say that, because I
yeah,
think so many of us, you know, we've grown up in a society that tells us we have to look a certain way, we have to be a certain way. We're, you know, nobody's going to love us if we do this, that, or look that way. And what you're saying is that basically we all have to find our own where we feel good. That
yeah. Yeah, and I call that your inner nutritionist. It's something that we have to reattune to. You know, we have to there's different techniques and tools that you can use to reattune to your body. So many women, especially men too, live up in their head. We live in our head, and we're influenced by a lot of the information. Now we live in an information age, right? So keto works for this chick, oh, it's got to work for me. Intermittent fasting works for that person, it's got to work for me. We have all these people coming at us from different directions saying that they have the way to lose weight, to achieve health, to restore gut, blah, 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 blah. And there's a lot of voices, and it's very loud, and it's very confusing and overwhelming. And what we've done is we're living up here, Kathy, in our head, and we've forgotten how to touch base with our heart and our gut brain. So we have this energetic field around the heart. I teach a lot about that. And then our gut health, our gut brain, which is part of our enteric nervous system. Yes. And, to reconnect to those as tools for attuning to our body's cues is and a huge part of intuitive and mindful eating that can really liberate a person from all of those outside voices and start to listen to the inner wisdom that you were born with, so you can begin to eat and do things in self-care for your body that help you achieve health without all the rules on the side, if that makes sense.
So what I'm hearing you say is that a diet, I mean, it has the word die in it. So right there, that's probably not really a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, but a diet seems so restrictive. It seems so, like you said, with all the rules and the regulations and the counting calories and the, everything, that the lawfulness, there's so many laws that go along with this diet or that diet or that diet. But you're saying that there should be a freedom in how we think about food.
Absolutely. Yeah. Freedom around food, around how we think of our body as well. I'll just add that in. Because there's a lot of, the word diet, you said the word diet, related it to diet. I don't know. I've never heard that before. So I'm going to have to use that. I'm also a dietitian, and so there's a time and place for therapeutic nutrition. So I've worked with patients who have autoimmune disease and whatnot. It's just that we have taken diets to the extreme, right? We look at them as a compass for our morality in some ways. So if I eat the brownie, I'm bad. If I don't eat the brownie, I'm good, right? We start to, like, when we feel restricted, when we feel empty and hungry, it's actually a sign that we're doing it right, when we're in the diet mentality. I know I've been there, and so many of the women I've worked with, like, that's how they know that they're losing weight, is because they feel hungry. And that is a sign of doing well with their diet or whatever.
So
right?
It's almost based on identity. Like we make an identity around our food and our body image and things like that. And wow, that gets to be pretty scary.
Absolutely. But there's, with awareness and compassion for ourselves, using essential oils to get into the parasympathetic side of our nervous system. We can
let me stop you there. Because I just know we lost a whole bunch of people, including me.
Oh, good. I know we probably did.
I know about sympathetic and parasympathetic, but there's this whole science to this. You're a dietitian, which means you're a scientist. Everybody, as much as I'm a scientist, I love cellular biology, microbiology, those kind of things. But there's a science to the nutrition that we have and how it makes us feel and how our bodies work optimally. So first of all, can you explain, and maybe you have been, but what intuitive eating means, and then go into, developing this more sympathetic nervous system with the oils. That's huge, I know, but
okay,
do it in a few minutes.
yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Okay.
So intuitive eating, I think a simple definition would be it's a revolutionary approach to food and body based on how we feel, not on external factors. So we rely more on internally what's going on in our body versus what's going on externally, and learning to discern between the two and make choices because of the way the food makes us feel, not because of the shoulds of the diet culture. Okay. Mindful eating is kind of a part of intuitive eating, and it's just there's more practices around taste, touch, smell. It's being in relationship with your plate in the moment, right? So people who practice yoga or meditation might recognize that presence that comes along with food intake. So many of us are eating distracted. We're eating to numb emotions. I mean, there's so many compartments to this, right? So just to keep it simple, mindfulness is presence with our food, truly with the food and not with other things. And when we are in presence and when we are attuned to our inner wisdom, typically that happens when we've activated a side of our nervous system called the parasympathetic side. So we have two sides of our nervous system. The sympathetic is oftentimes related to flight or flight. It's like when a bear is chasing us. If we look at our ancestral biology, a bear is chasing us. We're trying to get away. All of our blood rushes to our extremities so we can get away. It takes the blood away from digestive processes into, the get away from it. Heart rate increases, all the things. Cortisol is released, which is a stress hormone. And that's good. We need that. But when we have that same stress response in relationship to how we think or feel about a brownie, guess what? The same physiological process occurs. So that's the sympathetic. Parasympathetic is the opposite side. This is rest and digest, heal and repair. This is where humans want to be for healing and restoration. And this is where I coach women to hang out in more time in that parasympathetic state, because digestion is improved. So when we're eating from a place of love and compassion for ourselves, guess what? Our nutrition is turned into nutrients for our body, right? For energy and whatnot, because all the blood flow is nourishing those organs. Like this is really physically happening on a physical level. So we want to spend more time in parasympathetic. And as we know, Kathy, and you, I feel like are more of an expert than me on this, but when we use aroma, so I've actually used this in therapy with patients, use citrus oils, use things like lavender, things with a lot of linalool, which is a chemical constituent that really promotes relaxation and the stimulation of that parasympathetic side of our nervous system. It actually enhances our ability to be more present and also rest and digest, right? Turn our food into nutrition that is just going to impact the entire physical body. So did I do a good job?
You did a great job, and in a really good amount of time too. That was awesome. That was probably like a college course in like 5 minutes. So so that parasympathetic. So what we're talking about here is this is the place of rest. This is the place where we can just calm, where we can just be. We've got the do side, right? And then we've got the be side, and we have to do the do side. But when we're in more of the just, being able to, I like that, rest and digest, that's a really good way to put it. Our digestive system can work optimally because there's more of our body resources that can go towards that, right? So this week, as I'm talking about immunity, your digestive system is huge when it comes to immunity. About 80% of our immune system lies in our gut. So if we have a gut that's not working properly because we're constantly on go mode, and we have all of this adrenaline and cortisol, as you mentioned, because of the stress levels, literally that fall from our parathyroid gland down to our adrenals. I mean, we've just got this system that's going on, and we're running away from bears all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
We just never stop because the kids have to go to school and the kids have to eat, and then somebody missed their lunch and oh my gosh, he pooped his pants, and that, you know what I mean? It's just like all the time. We have to, again, I'm going to use that word, intuitively teach ourselves how to get into this mode, and our essential oils are a big way to help us do this.
Yeah, and I want to use a different terminology that I think is also helpful for people. I teach people how to reprogram their
Okay.
relationship. So we're changing the neurochemistry, because just like when you go to the gym and you pump iron and you strengthen your bicep, it takes repetition to build that strength of the bicep. The same thing is true if we've been living in a constant stress continuum, if you will, like we're constantly allowing stress to become our normal, like our norm. We actually, and it can feel uncomfortable, but we have to move that baseline towards a more parasympathetic driven baseline, right?
Yes.
And
Right.
that's where I feel like the oils are so helpful in cementing the neurochemistry that goes along with that emotional shift, right? So people think of aromatherapy as, oh, it just makes me feel good. Well, actually you're doing some reprogramming, because if you create a pleasant environment, you add aroma. I mean, even the aroma of a meal, right, can be calming and soothing. Like when I smell chicken noodle soup when I come home, if my husband's cooking, he does most of the cooking, I'm very lucky. I'm like instantly soothed, right? And we can create those same neuro connections with oils too, by doing affirmations or positive thinking while we're inhaling, a simple aroma from our hands to really ingrain that new neurochemistry, if you will. Does that make sense? I mean, you teach this already, but is this in alignment with what you're teaching?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the aromatic value and the oils when they cross the blood-brain barrier and literally do affect the neurological system and the way those synapses fire in our brain. It really does help us to form those different mindset processes, and
Right.
it really is huge. And another thing that I've heard too is, when people are looking to curb cravings or things like that, oils are very good for that as well. Grapefruit oil. Just smelling grapefruit oil is a natural appetite suppressant, which is amazing. Cinnamon is very, very good for helping to balance blood sugars in the body. And a lot of times that's when we have those cravings and we want to go for those things that we think make us feel good, right? But in reality, what do they do, Beth?
Well, they do make us feel good initially.
For initially,
Yeah,
right.
They do, but you're right. Like in the long run, the negative impact on your health may not be exactly the goal, right? So
Right. So, just from your perspective, what are some of the detrimental effects of like sugar on the body?
yeah, so I think we have to be careful to define sugar in a way that doesn't scare people, away from enjoying. So a lot of my work is done around kind of unlocking the fear around certain foods. So sugar, we know that sugar can potentially cause more inflammation in the body. So if somebody's eating a diet that's high in refined carbohydrates and sugars, that can be pro-inflammatory. So, it promotes inflammation. So the key word and the thing that's hard for, I think, all of us is finding the balance, right? Is finding the balance of sugar to, more nutrient dense foods, and identifying like the actual physical response of consuming large amounts of sugar. I know for me, like my heart rate increases. I feel kind of sick to my stomach. I get like a weird feeling in my esophagus if I've had too much sugar. So for me, like, it's not about telling someone not to consume sugar. It's about, teaching someone to become more attuned to their cues of their body when they do consume sugar, so that they can begin to build some resilience and self-regulation when it comes to those foods. And as well, identify the emotions that are triggering the need for sugar. Because here's the thing, Kathy, sugar creates a dopamine response in the brain. That's why we feel good initially. We crave that dopamine because we're so stressed out all the time. Taking a hit of that bagel or that donut gives us relief from our emotions in that moment, right? So the root cause of sugar cravings a lot of the time are just, we're not giving ourselves the ability to feel our emotions and process those emotions. Again, our oils can help with that, can't they?
Wow. That's really good. So learning this connection between stress, between negative self feelings to ourself, and how that works in the body. Even what we put in our mouths, because and it's not. That's why we need this intuition. We need this mindfulness to
Right.
be able to to figure out like, oh, this is why I'm doing this, and this is the oil that I can use so that I don't have to do this anymore. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I always, the key components of a mindful and intuitive eating experience are curiosity and awareness. And I'd say actually awareness first, just being aware of what's going on in the body. When we have the sugar craving, asking ourselves, what does our body need right now? Like, what do I need right now? Do I really need that Hershey bar? Or do I need a walk? Do I need to call my mom? Do I need, there's other things. And again, we can bring ourselves into present moment, taking a sniff of peppermint or something to just stimulate and trigger our opportunity to look at the situation in a new way. You know what I mean?
Or drinking water. I mean, hydration.
Or drinking water. Yeah, right. I mean, that's another one. Absolutely. So it's different for everyone. I think that's why I speak in the way that I do, Kathy, is because the experience of sugar cravings is there's an underlying root cause that might be a little different for every person. Because sometimes, you're out to dinner and celebrating, and a piece of pumpkin pie is what you need in the moment.
And don't beat yourself up.
No.
But don't give yourself the excuse that you can do that all the time either. So again, there's that balance, there's that mindfulness in that. So I know there's, with Lifelong Vitality, yes, the oils are amazing, but what are your experiences with Lifelong Vitality and how that plays into our nutrition?
Well, Lifelong Vitality is just a really complete nutritional supplement line, right? We have the 3 products within that, the multivitamin, the cellular complex, and the fish oil complex, or the omega complex. And so what that offers is just a balanced approach. So we don't eat perfectly every day. No one is meant to, and it's a misnomer to think that you have to eat perfect to achieve health, to achieve perfect health even. We're meant to have, there's a lot of things that influence our choices, right? And so a product like Lifelong Vitality, which is incredibly high quality, and I admit, Kathy, I was super skeptical of Lifelong Vitality when I initially got into doTERRA. I did not look at it for an entire year because I was so in what I thought was, the right supplementation. But after going to conventions and learning and talking to the scientists who created the products, I mean, it's just such a high quality, very bioavailable. So a lot of supplements on the market are compressed. They're like stuck together with a whole bunch of crap, and they're not even available for absorption into the body. And I think that's one of my favorite aspects of Lifelong Vitality. People sometimes complain, there's 12 pills you have to take every day. Like, so many pills. However, that's because they're bioavailable, and bioavailable is just a complicated chemical way of saying they're ready for the body to receive.
Right. Yeah. We can absorb them 100%. Right.
Yeah. Versus some I shouldn't call names out there, but some vitamins.
any other vitamin on the shelf at your store.
Yeah. Especially the cheap ones. People are like, oh, I just want value. So but you get great value with Lifelong Vitality. It's actually very well priced, and you're getting a high quality product, which is not
and so I even teach people that's how I got into doTERRA. I started using Lifelong Vitality like right away.
A lot of people do, yeah.
And it changed my life like within 3 days. Like literally I was having such horrible pain throughout my body. I had no strength. My muscles were atrophying. I was having horrible headaches. I was just a mess. I actually thought that I had some conditions that have little initials, that go along with them, and I didn't want to have that. And so for me, Lifelong Vitality was one of those things that I first started with. So my science brain really wanted to go, okay, what is in this stuff and why is it helping me so much? And, I've recently realized that most of the vitamins and minerals that are in the VMZ, which is the vitamin and mineral product in the Lifelong Vitality, are actually in a glycoprotein matrix. And what they do is they give these vitamins and these minerals, they put them in a culture with yeast and lactobacillus, and the yeast and the lactobacillus actually take them into the matrix of their structure, and then they dehydrate that and take away all of the bacterial and yeast products and give us those products that are left. I mean, it's an absolutely ingenious product to help us be able to assimilate that into our body 100% so that we can use it. There's really nothing else on the market like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just with my background in functional medicine, I had a lot of scrutinized, the ingredients and what's in there. And I mean, if you can find a PubMed article, right, research that justifies the use of all those different ingredients in the 3 different products. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. So it's just a great way to just feel like you kind of rounded out the day, which is likely imbalanced, and that's completely fine. And, it just helps, like you said, with energy, with mental clarity, I mean, the list can go on and on. I'm just trying to think of all the things.
Digestive
Yeah,
health,
digestive health.
respiratory,
Yeah.
inflammation,
There
I
you go.
mean, and again, we can't make any guarantees. We can't make any promises with our products because I'm not you and you're not me, and it might work differently with you than it does with me. But
Right.
there's just been so many people that I know personally that their lives have been changed with Lifelong Vitality. But it all comes back to good nutrition, right? It's not like, okay, I'm going to eat crappy and then I'll take my Lifelong Vitality.
Totally.
We cannot think that way, right?
No, yes, absolutely. I love that. And I think that the company doTERRA as a whole has been really balanced in the approach. They really emphasize, that the base of their pyramid, their health model is
Yes.
eating right, and eating right in my mind, just in my practice, is like becoming a mindful and intuitive eating, using gentle nutrition, because we have nutrition research that gives us good information, like fruits and vegetables are nutrient dense and blah, blah, blah. Right. However, you've got to balance that, right, with your life. Like our day to day, we're not meant to live in a bubble where we can control everything that we eat and how we consume it. We are living, breathing organisms who experience emotions and have joy and pain and all the things in between. And Lifelong Vitality just helps to balance that. I've known so many people who have used it, including myself. I didn't notice any like remarkable physical changes for myself. It was like more like mood stabilization, right? The highs and lows that especially come in a woman's cycle were much more chill and mellowed out when I started taking my Lifelong Vitality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does
So,
because I have people come to me, well, with pretty much anything that you can think of. But a lot of times it's times of anxiousness or it's times of just feeling down.
yeah.
And they'll say, what oil can I use? And the best thing you can do for yourself is Lifelong Vitality. Because when our bodies aren't getting what we need at the cellular level, and we're literally stressing our body because we don't have what the nutrients that we need to be able to perform optimally. When extra stressors come into our lives and we're already stressing ourselves because we don't have the proper nutrition, we are going to have that time of anxiousness, or we are going to have that time when we're really feeling down. And so it is giving ourselves the micronutrients that we need, because we just don't get all the micronutrients every day in our diet. We just don't. Okay. So yes, that emotional balance with Lifelong Vitality is fantastic as well. And I think that's very much understated when we talk about LLV.
Totally. Yeah. It's all connected. I really love this conversation because I'm just like seeing all the little pieces weave together, right?
Yeah.
Emotions, intuitive eating, Lifelong
Right.
Vitality, oils. Like it's just a beautiful synergy between all of them. And our job as individuals is to experience and be curious about how these things affect us, including the oils, including Lifelong Vitality, right? And our day-to-day meals and snacks.
I mean, there's nothing in our life that doesn't affect our health. It doesn't affect our immunity, our relationships,
Totally. Yep.
our, whether we're negative thinking or positive thinking that day, I mean, there's even, the security that we feel with finances, or, whatever it is, everything works together to affect our everyday life, in our immune system. And right now we're living in a period of fear. And what you talked about with that parasympathetic versus sympathetic, we are living more in that sympathetic area, right?
Yeah,
Where we
for
don't know
sure.
what's going to happen in the next few minutes, much less next week. And so it's hard to plan forward. It's hard to, everybody's kind of in this fearful mode right now. So we have to be able to take that back and get into that. Like we have to consciously make ourselves almost get into that parasympathetic method mode, and use our oils and do the things that are going to help us rest and relax and digest, right? Rest and digest.
And I always remind people, just to kind of wrap a bow around that one, but reminding everyone that we digest more than food. We digest our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs.
Right.
And so, especially during a crisis like a pandemic, just remembering, thinking and being mindful, not only about the food we're putting in our body and how it makes us feel, but what we watch, what we consume, social media, news, and really checking in, how is that making us feel? Because that's going to affect our physical health, right?
Right.
And
I love that you said that, because literally whatever we put into us becomes who we are. So whether it's food, or whether it's thoughts and ideas or relationships, I mean, it literally does physically become who we are.
Yep. And we get a choice, right?
We do.
People are like, oh, but I have to stay connected. Well, fine. Stay connected once a week versus 24/7,
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, Beth, thank you so much. Our time together, this has been fantastic. Beth has been living in Cheyenne for just a few years, right?
2 years.
Okay. And you're moving?
I'm moving to Colorado.
This week. Yeah, to Colorado Springs. So I won't be seeing her at Starbucks here probably anymore, but I know that in our doTERRA community, I will be seeing you around, my friend. And thank you so much for speaking life into my team. I want to let you know that are you currently taking coaching clients?
Yeah. If people want to learn more about the type of work I do, I actually have a free Facebook group. It's called Mindful and Intuitive Eating for Women. It is women only. I'll give you the link, Kathy, so you can post it if you feel inclined.
Okay.
And I do have an application process to work with me. So I work with women who are really ready to do this work, somebody who's tired of the dieting roller coaster, ready to embrace a new way, connect mind, body, spirit. I get a little spiritual in my work as well. So you got to be open to that. And we get on a call and chat. And if we feel like it's a good fit, I'll tell the person who's interested more details about how I work with people. So.
And the name of your business again?
My business is called Healthy by Design RD.
Okay, Healthy by Design. And you are a registered dietitian. But I do highly suggest that you join Beth's Facebook group. I'll put that link up. I get some really good information. In fact, I hope you don't mind. I steal some of your information every once in a while.
Totally. Yeah. No,
you can feel free to steal anything I put up too. So
yeah, no, for sure.
We don't steal anything in doTERRA. We're just all sisters together. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
All right, Beth, best wishes to you, friend, in Colorado Springs. And thank you so much for speaking into my friends and doTERRA family here on this call.
It was my pleasure, Kathy. Thanks for inviting me in.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.